From the burning mesas of the Arizona desert to the slot machine-clad boardwalks of New Jersey, it's the Imaginarium with Scott and Todd. I'm Scott Colbert,
I'm the horror nerd, Todd Staruch.
and we are back this week. We had a little bit of a unplanned vacation last week.
Yes, but I'm glad everything is okay.
Yeah, my mom had a little bit of a health scare, and so I wasn't able to record last week. Fortunately, she's better, and you get to a point in life. Now, my mom is going to be 76 in April. So every time she has some kind of a health emergency, you just can't help but think, well, is this it? You know?
Yep, I hear you.
And, it just makes what few hairs I have left even grayer.
the, not to make light of it, but the funny thing, it was kind of funny the next day when you set up. Yeah, she's up and she's really crabby. She must be feeling better.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's how I know.
Oh, and it was probably a very wise decision to just cancel the show last week and not leave me to my own devices. That could have been a horrible, horrible train wreck.
Well, I thought about it, but it was just such short notice. I didn't want to, put that on you. So, and I had a lot of good stuff to talk about last week too. So, we're gonna talk about some of it this week. I really don't want to go into the Donald Trump stuff because at we can spend every show until he's no longer in office for whatever reason, just talking about every imbecilic comment and executive order that he makes. And we would have enough material for probably the next 20 years. So I, not necessarily really wanting to go into talking about him, but I will say this. He just seems to manage to piss everybody off, even our close allies. He hung up on the Australian Prime Minister yesterday. He had words with the Mexican president, and then his staff told Prince Charles to don't lecture him on global warming or he'll explode.
I am not often at a loss for words, as you all know. But, Scott, it's just every day,
Yeah.
you know, it's just some other nonsense. And I swear, I tried. Like, I'm like, all right, you know what? I can either put the gun in my mouth or I can say, let's just hope for the best. But it's just bad. And what's really scary is the people that are still like sticking up for him. I'm like, come on, I just don't, I just don't get it, Scott. Like,
They're digging their feet in.
oh,
It, it, it
well, who
you know,
likes to
it,
admit that they were wrong? You know what I mean? Who,
well, nobody. But I mean, my God, if they're going to tell us to man up and support him because he's the president now, the least they can do is man up and say, "Ooh, we fucked up."
yeah, and I still can't believe it's how many days since the election, and how many days since the inauguration, and people are still blathering on about Hillary. You know, it's like, will you shut up about the emails already? Especially since Trump is using an unsecure phone and half of his staff is using private servers over at the Republican National Committee.
Yeah,
Everybody's so quiet about that now.
yeah. Or the fact that uh, they didn't record the conversation that he had with Putin the other day. They recorded all the others, but they didn't record the one with Putin, and that's been verified by a couple of different legitimate news agencies. So that's not like from some wacko left-wing site, um,
Yeah, I,
which is breaking the law because there was a law that was passed in 1978 that all communications from the president and the vice president, as of some date in 1981, had to be preserved and recorded.
I just don't know where all of this is going, Scott. Like he's just on a tear, and I just it seems like it's just a giant boulder rolling downhill. Um, I got nothing.
Yeah.
I'm just dumbstruck, Scott. I really am. And you could, I guess, if I had to really be fair, I guess we could probably dig into each executive order or whatever and try to dissect it and figure it out. Um, because I certainly didn't agree with everything Obama did. You know, but I
No.
look at this track record over the first 10 or 15 days or whatever, and I'm like, holy shit. I just, where do we even go from here? I guess you got to go up. Um, and I'm just waiting to see if we're really going to have here's my only hope, Scott. My only hope is that the Republican majority in Congress goes, like a light bulb goes off, and they go, holy shit. If we really let this go off the rails, the Democrats will literally take over in 4 years, and we'll never be in the White House again. We got to get this under control, or not even that. In 2 years, they'll get slaughtered in the midterm elections.
Yeah. That's the only thing that I'm hoping for.
Yeah,
If he's even still in, well, even if he is still in office, then because I mean, let's face it, his vice president is really no better than him as far as his beliefs go. And well, and here's the thing: I don't think Trump actually has any of his own beliefs. I think he sells his beliefs to the highest bidder. Is really what it seems like. I don't think he really cares about anything other than himself and money. And so
and power
and
because
power.
now he's the leader of the fucking United States. So it's like holy shit, he's got to be drunk on power right
Yeah,
now.
yeah,
You
and
know,
he's at a prayer breakfast this morning, and he's telling people he's making his speech there, and he's saying you should pray for Arnold Schwarzenegger because his ratings are low on his Celebrity Apprentice. Whatever happens, it's however he leaves office, and he will. I don't think he's going to complete his 4 years. It's not going to be pretty. It's either going to be some kind of a military coup to get him out of there, or somebody's going to take a pot shot at him, or something like that. I don't know that Congress is really going to have the balls to impeach him. So, but in the meantime, we just hope he doesn't blow us up before then.
exactly. That's all we can hope. You know what? If I'm even gonna be optimistic about that, and what I'm really worried about is just, and then let's just get off this topic before I,
Sure.
drink poison. I'm staring at the bottle of bleach over on the counter, thinking that's a viable alternative. Like, what if I just chug that fucking thing? You know. uh, but I'm more worried about like the day to day stuff, like the things that affect my friends, and
Yeah.
loved ones as far as health care or equality and stuff like that. That's what I'm a little more worried about right now.
Healthcare and Obamacare hasn't been talked about for a few days. So I'm hoping that maybe the Republicans are realizing that if they actually do repeal it without having anything in place, uh, they are going to get screwed come 2018. So I think they're being a little bit more careful and maybe thinking twice about totally repealing it. I'm hoping anyway.
Well, it looks like support for that is really really falling apart.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden, it's funny how when reality smacks you like right in the teeth, and when they're looking at like what it's really gonna mean, and if they just do a blanket repeal, um, it looks like support for the repeal is starting to wane. So we can only hope.
Yeah, fingers crossed on that. So, all right, and enough of that.
Yeah.
Let's go on to my classic of the week, which was actually for last week, and that was John Schlesinger's Midnight Cowboy.
Good one.
It is because at this point, anytime I get to see John Boyd sexually humiliated, I'm all for that. You know, how petty is that? But uh,
Well, listen.
I'm, I'm just
I know you're not his biggest fan.
yeah. But the thing is, I like him as an actor. He's a really good actor, and he was fantastic in Midnight Cowboy.
Yeah, he was.
And of course, so was Dustin Hoffman. And now I had known, you know, the basic plot of the story, but obviously, as I said, it was the first time I saw it a couple of weeks ago, and I was actually really surprised at a lot of the sexuality in it, and I thought it was just very well done. What I really liked about it was seeing this snapshot of New York from a time long ago, and you can say what you want about 42nd Street back in the day with all the adult movie theaters and the nudie bars and whatnot, but god damn it, at least it has some personality.
Yeah, yeah. It was before it got Disneyfied, you know.
Yeah, it just it lost its character. It's much like Las Vegas when they kind of Disneyfied that, and you had all these huge conglomerates coming in and building these hotels like the MGM and oh, not the MGM, but the Bellagio and all these other things, and they have amusement parks and all this other shit in the stratosphere with the roller coaster type thing at the very top of it. It just that's not Vegas. Vegas is some seedy fucking dive bar with an Elvis impersonator with his dick out at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Listen, I only
That's
did
what
that one
Vegas is.
time. Why do you have to bring up the past all the time? I mean, God, Jesus, Scott, you know?
Well, that's what you get for posting pictures of it on Facebook.
It's funny you bring up Vegas because I love, love, love Las Vegas.
I do too,
I was
actually.
talking about it the other day, and yeah, I actually like the glitz and the fact that everything is overdone. Um, but you can still go down to Fremont Street, and go to Lady Luck or
Yeah.
Golden Nugget, which reminds you of old Vegas. What killed me was some years ago when they tried to turn Vegas into like a family destination.
Yeah.
And I was, and I had harkened back. You remember when George Carlin did that routine? Like, why does everything now have to revolve around children?
Yeah.
I felt that
Exactly.
about Vegas. I'm like, can't grown-ups have somewhere where they can go, where it's just gambling and drinking and smoking and strip clubs and it's
Yeah.
like adult Disneyland. Like, can't adults just have some place to go? I went once and I was just tripping over children everywhere. I'm
Yep.
like, what is happening here? God, one of the hookers I was with almost broke her neck tripping on one of those kids.
Yeah.
God.
We went to Vegas on family vacations a couple of times when I was a kid, and we'd stay at Circus Circus, and
Okay. Yeah.
because that was really a good place for kids. Now this is how long ago that was, because if anybody did this today, they'd be brought up on charges. But you know, we'd get the rooms at Circus Circus, and my parents would give my sister and me money to go up on the mezzanine and play all the games and get stuff to eat and whatever, and they'd go leave us there and go out to other casinos.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, right?
Yeah, and not think twice about it. Or maybe, well, maybe somebody will pick them up and get rid of them for us.
Yeah.
But that's just how it was, and that was a lot of fun. And if they would end up taking us into some of the other casinos, the floor managers and the other people would just give my sister and I dirty looks, like, what the fuck are these drug rats doing in here? And the
Yeah.
last time, I haven't been there since it's probably been about 15 or 20 years since I've
Mm.
been there. Um, but the last time that I was there, it was during that trying to turn it into some kind of kid friendly place, and the atmosphere was just so different, and it just didn't. It was so sterile and
Yeah.
so devoid of any kind of personality.
Yeah, I
They
agree. I was like, listen, you want to take your kids somewhere? Take them to fucking Disneyland, will you?
Yeah, it's not that far
It's
away.
huh?
It's not that far away from
Yeah,
Vegas.
exactly. And again, we got to a point in this country where adults were not allowed to have anything that was, adult. And for me, that was always Las Vegas. And
Yeah,
if you didn't necessarily have to partake in the seedier side of it, you could just go to the spa or go shopping or whatever. But you didn't have to worry about like saying the wrong thing or doing the wrong thing because there were children everywhere.
yeah,
You could just, like I said, it was adult Disneyland.
yeah. I mean, where
Bring
else
on
are
the
you getting?
showgirls.
And bring me the free drinks.
Right. Yes. I want a drink served by a curvy cocktail waitress in a skimpy outfit, damn it.
Yes, yes. And you just don't get that.
Well, listen, it depends. You got to know where to go.
Well, that's true. That's true.
That's why I like the Rio. They got three different size waitresses, but only one size costume.
Well, and talking about how things change, and getting back to Midnight Cowboy for a moment.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
I totally hijacked your story about your
no,
movie.
that's fine because that was a quick fun stroll down memory lane. Um, when that came out, it was rated X, which is the today's NC-17.
Right.
And I mean, if it, and pornos were like triple X, but this was just a single X. And what's funny about that is really it's tame by today's standards, or fairly tame, I think. I mean, there's a little bit of nudity here and there, uh, but the language is actually nothing that you wouldn't hear in a PG movie. I mean, there
Yeah.
was, I mean, there was no f bombs or any other bombs, as it were. Um, and when they showed sex scenes, it wasn't nearly as graphic as even what you would probably see on daytime TV in soap operas or nighttime TV either, or certainly cable. And that's not to say it's you know it's a kids movie by any stretch of the imagination, because they did change it. It's now an R movie, but I just find it interesting how times change and how they reevaluate movies like that. And it got me thinking. In today's society, everything you can get any movie that you want, either through streaming, through Netflix or Hulu or Vudu or any of the other 10,000 streaming services now. Or you can buy it on DVD. You can order it through Amazon. I mean, there's really no place you can't get something.
Right.
And none of them, you don't go to Amazon and order an R-rated movie, and there's nothing saying, "Are you 17 or over to buy this?" It just made me wonder, are ratings just you know, a relic of the past, or they do they even mean anything anymore?
That's a good point. Um, huh. Maybe if I look at it from the perspective of the father of a 12-year-old girl, um, I guess it does give me some guidance as far as what movies might be appropriate to take her to see. Um, but by the same token, I think everyone's kid is different, and you got to know what they can handle.
Yeah,
Um, obviously I don't care. Would I take her to see an R-rated movie? It depends. You know, if it was Schindler's List, yeah, I might take her to see that. Um, it all depends. I,
yeah.
I,
If it
I have,
says being chainsaw hookers, probably
yeah,
not.
maybe not. Wait, you have that movie?
That's my GoFundMe movie.
Nice. Um, that God, we could. That's a show in and of itself
Yeah,
about movie ratings. Do they even mean anything in an era where everything is instantly available? I mean, I still feel it's my responsibility to monitor what my kid is watching. Um, Especially now that it's like when I grew up, we had one TV in the living room.
yeah,
We watched basically what my father said we were watching that night. Is pretty much it. Then VCR came along, and that was still one TV, and it was highly regulated what we were allowed to watch. Now with phones and tablets and everything, it's really hard to control what your kids are looking at.
yeah. And and as good of a parent as you can be, and when I say you, I'm speaking generally, in general,
Right,
not
right.
you
Hmm.
specifically. Um, you can't monitor everything that they're doing 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Yep.
You can try, but it's impossible. So really, all you can do is, I think, just try and instill, in them a sense of responsibility in terms of, you know, telling them these are the kinds of movies that I think are appropriate for you, and I can't stop you from watching them. The other inappropriate stuff, but I would appreciate it if you didn't until you're a little bit older, and then we can talk about them.
Right,
You know,
right.
Now, of course, that's easier to say, especially as somebody who doesn't have a kid. Um, so that may not be a realistic goal at all.
Well, that actually was very insightful, Scott, because I'm well aware that once my daughter's out of my sight or out of my ex-wife's sight, we can't control what maybe a friend might show them or whatever. But what we did tell her was there is exactly what you just said. I've told her, look, Olivia, I can't be around you every minute. I can't control everything you see and do. But if there's anything you ever see that frightens you or offends you or you have a question about, I'm never going to get mad, you know, but you come and talk to me about it, or your mother, and just ask questions. You know, I think you have to approach it that way because it's information 24/7 everywhere.
Yeah,
So I'd rather just handle it that way and say, you know what? Look, when I was a kid, I'd have a sleepover at my buddy's house, and he, would stumble across one of his dad's porn mags, and we would check it out, So I'm not stupid. I know that kids are going to see things, um, and now you don't even have to sneak it anymore because you have a phone connected to the internet,
yeah,
you know. So we went on dangerous reconnaissance missions to try to
yeah,
find that stuff, shit, dude, let me know if my dad's going. Oh shit, your dad's coming up the stairs. Fuck, like he's home early
yeah.
from work. God damn it. We were risking our freaking lives back then.
Oh, yeah.
Oh man, memories.
Yeah, a friend and I did that same exact thing. He was 9 or 10, and he knew his dad had Skin magazines, and then he found some old Super 8 movies.
Ah,
But we could never find the projector, the Super 8 projector, to watch them.
Mm,
Uh, but yeah, and then even if your kid doesn't have a phone, or even if they only have a dumb phone, just for emergencies, uh, their friends have phones,
right, right.
and friends are going to say, "Hey, check this out," and that's just how it is. Now, and it's funny, and one of the things that I thought about when I was mulling over this idea about the ratings, when Porky's came out, I think it was about 15 or 16, and it was playing on a double feature with some other movie. I forget what it may have been, Modern Troubles with Chevy Chase. But I went to the mall to go see it, and I was underage. I wasn't 17 because Porky's is R. So my mother had to literally talk the cashier at the movie theater into selling me the ticket.
Uh,
And today, I could be 12 and go walk into an R-rated movie, and they wouldn't even think twice about it.
well, that's back then. I don't. Again, I don't. Probably was this way where you grew up. My local hometown theater was run and managed by grown-ups, and you'd get in trouble. Like we got thrown out of the movies for talking or for being
Oh
jackasses.
yeah,
Now you got like some 16-year-old goober, or maybe even not. It's maybe the theater just doesn't even want to be bothered. Creating a scene or causing some kind of a problem or whatever. But yeah, I mean, it was a lot different back then. Now you're right. They don't give a shit.
yeah,
How old are
yeah.
you? 9. Come on in.
Go sit in the smoking section.
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause I know Steve Fallon and I used to go to the movies together every once in a while when we were growing up, and I think we saw a couple of the Planet of the Apes movies and a piece of the action with Bill Cosby and Sidney
Oh yeah.
Poitier. Yeah, and we would get rowdy, and we'd have the ushers tell us to shh, you know, and then we get scared that we were going to get thrown out, so we quieted down. You know, now and the adults are the ones that are carrying on and checking their phones and creating disturbances. And you just want to throw the parents out and let the kids stay there.
Exactly. It has. Yeah, it's gotten out of control. I went, the other night I went with my brother to see Split, and I like to go to the dine-in theater because they serve alcohol, so it's 21 and older. So you'd think there'd be a lot less knuckleheads.
Yeah.
Well, the two adults next to me were like talking, and finally I just leaned over and I'm like, and I don't care. I'm like, are you planning to talk through the whole movie or just this part of it? And of course I got the obligatory dirty look,
Oh, of
and
course.
but they did quiet down. I think the guy saw something in my face.
Yeah.
I don't get why and the dine-in is not cheap. So why would you spend $15 on a movie ticket for you and your date and then not shut the fuck up and watch the movie?
Yeah, if I took a date to a movie, we were quiet because I was trying to make out or get a blowjob or a hand job at least. That required stealth.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. At least make an attempt. And
Yeah.
I wish the guy was at least just getting a Hummer. I could at
Yeah,
least
yeah,
respect that. Now he's just blabbing away.
yeah. Probably tweeting some dick just told me to be quiet in the
You're
movie
right.
theater.
Exactly.
Who the fuck
Exactly.
does he think he is? Hasn't he heard of
Yeah.
freedom of speech?
At least if he was getting some action, I could at least, respect his
Yeah.
his efforts.
I mean, if he was doing that, I would actually move a couple of rows down out of respect,
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
and then not wanting to get anything on me. Yeah, that's why the floors are sticky. It's not soda.
Exactly. See?
Oh, I'm
You
glad
and I
someone
must
joined up
frequent the
again.
same type of theater. You know
But
what?
yeah,
Real quick aside, you know what pissed me off when fucking Pee Wee Herman got arrested for touching himself in an X-rated movie theater?
yeah.
Isn't that what those places were for?
Yeah. I mean, that's what they were
And why
for.
are there three cops whose job it is to sit in there all day and bust people for raincoating it? I mean, really?
How much of a fuck up do you have to be put on that detail?
Oh,
You,
God,
you,
right?
you can't even. The only thing you can be trusted to do is to find some guy jerking it in a movie theater.
Right?
That's the height of your power, right there.
Oh, my God. Yeah,
Yeah, and
really. Listen, we're gonna have to take you off traffic duty and put you on porn patrol.
yeah,
Enjoy.
yeah. You're no longer the meter maid. You're now on porn patrol.
Yeah. Oh God. I guess I'm not making lieutenant.
Next stop is mole cop.
Oh God.
But yeah, and it, and back in the '80s, early '80s, and mid '80s, adult bookstores were everywhere. I mean, you really couldn't go into any kind of seedy part of town and not find at least a half a dozen of them. And there were certain ones that I used to frequent on a somewhat regular basis.
You lie.
All right, every week. And they back then they had booths in the back where you could
Yep.
actually watch the movie, stick your quarters in, and either do the thing by yourself or somebody would come along and help you out,
Yeah.
and you know, which is another thing that fostered community. You know, everybody in the same neighborhood jerking each other off in a dirty, dark movie theater. I mean, you can't get much more community.
Okay,
And
now you're just getting me turned on.
I mean, it's obviously it's just such a different world now, and I can't even all the adult bookstores that I ever went to here in Phoenix, they're all closed with the exception of two. Next, everything is online.
Yeah, well, yeah, there's a couple near where I live. There's one that's been there a long, long time, and they like a few years back. I noticed I drive. It's on a main drag near my house, so I drive past it a lot. Um, but I did notice, like, all of a sudden they started advertising outside that they were now selling like clothing and sex toys and like other things like that instead of just renting movies. Because I'm thinking, like, who would even rent movies like at an adult store anymore? You
Yeah.
know, and not out of embarrassment, because if you used to go there in the first place, like, what difference would it make? But why would you bother at this point? You know?
Yeah, there's really no reason to rent movies, physical copies of movies anymore. I mean,
Yeah.
unless you're in some part of the country where you don't have a good internet connection to stream movies or whatever the case may be. But I mean, honestly, I haven't, rented even with a Redbox. I just don't even see a need for that.
Every once in a while, because there's a Redbox like right in the supermarket near my house, And every once in a while they'll have like an exclusive that's not on Netflix that I really want to check out. So I'll get it through Redbox. But it has been for a while. I have used Netflix.
Yeah.
Dude, I got to real quick a real quick funny story about a porn shops. Wait, when I started college in 1986, and in 1987 we became friends with a guy. We knew him in freshman year, but became more friendly with him in 1987 sophomore year. He was from Utah and had never drank, had never so much as seen pornography. We were going on a weekend trip to New York City and we took him with us. Now, this was still when Times Square was Times Square.
Right.
We took him to every disgusting, sleazy shithole. Do you remember, Scott, New York? If, I don't know if you do, but you'd come out of the Port Authority and you'd make a left, and the next block was Show World Theater.
Yeah. Yeah.
Huge, huge place. It's now a comedy place, but it used to be peep shows and live
Yeah.
shows and everything. So I go in there, I get him a roll of tokens, put it in his hand, and I'm like, here, have a great time. He comes out like not 5 minutes later. And I'm like, he's got this look on his face of abject horror. And I'm like, what happened? And he's like, well, I went into one of those booths and I just froze. Like, I got scared. Okay. He's like, I have a question. What? Why is there a paper towel dispenser on the wall? Like, well, son, I'm going to give you a minute to think about that.
That's
And
fun.
then slowly it dawns, like it's slowly, you could see it in his face.
Yeah, kind
That
of like
it
that
dawns
Edith
on him.
Bunker dawning.
Yes. Yeah. It dawns on him what the paper towels are for. And I'm like, now do you get it? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, yeah, it gets worse. He's like, what do you mean? Imagine you're the person whose job it is to mop up those freaking things at the end of the night. And I literally thought he was going to puke all over me right at that moment. I think he turned green, and I thought he was just going to hurl all over me. And I think we pretty much ruined that kid that weekend. I mean, we totally ruined him.
Well, he's certainly no
But
Joe Buck then.
yeah, yeah,
He,
it was funny.
oh, that is funny. Um, Ratso Rizzo.
Yes, that's
You
actually
know,
quite a. I thought that was it's quite a touching performance by Dustin Hoffman. It's kind of it's a very sad story at the end.
it is, and it's and for those who haven't seen the movie or don't know how it ends, I'm going to spoil it right now. Uh, you know, he's sick throughout. Dustin Hoffman's character Ratso is sick throughout the entire movie, and all he wants to do is get down to Miami. Because somehow he thinks that Miami is going to make everything better for him, as most people do. Everybody thinks that some other cities, if I could just get to here, everything would be so much better. And so that's the kind of a thought pattern that he had. And, he finally is on his way down there and he ends up dying on the bus trip down. And I felt bad, but, on the other hand, I also thought, well, his pain and suffering is over now. So I almost felt a little bit of relief for him. And I kind of felt, I kind of felt sorry for Lloyd's character, Joe Buck, but on the other hand, they spent more time arguing and yelling at each other than they did actually showing actual friendship.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's a bittersweet movie, and I recommend it because there's actually a lot of humor in it too, which I wasn't expecting.
There is, and the soundtrack is fantastic.
Oh God, I love that soundtrack.
Absolutely fantastic. Harry Nilsson,
Yep.
Leslie Miller, John Barry. so many great songs in that movie.
Yeah, you'd be hard put to find a better soundtrack,
Yeah,
movie soundtrack from that era. So definitely check out Midnight Cowboy, and I'm really glad that I did. I'm not sure I actually ever really want to watch it again because Ratso Riz was just one of those characters you feel like you're gonna get scabies if you watch him too much longer.
yeah,
You know, because he's
yeah,
not very appealing looking.
yeah. This is true.
You know,
This is true.
but it's far more touching than I thought, and I think that's what I really like about seeing these movies is I'm actually being really surprised by them, and I'm being moved in ways that I didn't expect to be moved, like with Midnight Cowboy, um, or To Kill a Mockingbird, and I'm really enjoying that and getting back to a time where movies were able to move me or to
Yeah,
make me cry and it wasn't just crass manipulation. It was actually, part of the story. And it's been a long time since I've had a movie do that to me.
yeah. I hear you, man. Lately, I've been watching. I've been watching more and more short films,
Yeah,
and I had a friend over the other night, and we were just going through YouTube and just watching clips of different movies. A lot of musicals,
yeah,
and like I say all the time, there is power in film, and I think that because we're in an era of a lot of popcorn films, like all the Marvel films and the DC
yeah.
films, and the animated ones. Not that there's anything wrong with them. I love me some superhero films. You know, but where's the next Midnight Cowboy?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or where's the next Modern Times? Where are those? I think they're fewer and far between. You know?
I think you're right about that. And as far as animated movies go, Kubo and the Two Strings is really I can't even say enough good things about that
I
movie. I
have
love
yet to
it so
see that. I've
much.
heard nothing but praise for that movie. I have to see it.
It just makes everything Disney's ever done look like child's play. I mean, it's beautifully animated. It's stop motion for one thing, but you would never know it because it's so smooth.
Mm.
And the voice acting is fantastic in it. It's a fantastic story. The score is wonderful. I can't think of anything bad to say about this movie or anything to pick at this movie. It just I can't see anything wrong with it. My opinion, obviously, on that. But you really need to see that. You absolutely have to see that.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to check it out. I don't, and I can't even say why I haven't gotten to it yet.
I think,
Other than I just haven't gotten to it yet.
yeah, and I think your daughter might like it too. It depending on how she deals with uh, the death of a parent or death of both parents, and how sensitive she is to that kind of a subject matter because that's part of the story.
Yeah,
Um,
you know what? I think she's okay. She gets it. It's just a movie.
yeah, I mean it's
So she
animated. It's
can,
PG.
yeah,
It's not like it's very heavy or
right,
philosophical.
right.
Uh, it's just really I enjoy it a lot, and it's not necessarily a movie I would watch to cheer myself up, but I would watch it just because I want to get immersed in the world that was created in this movie because it's just so beautifully done. So now, now I'm just rambling on about that movie. So
No, listen, I like I say, I have not heard a bad thing about it. I definitely, you know what? I'm gonna put that on my list for this weekend. I think I'm gonna check it out over the weekend. I have so many movies that I want to see
yeah,
that in any given night. Plus, I'm almost done. I'm in. I just started season 7 of Star Trek Voyager. I've been binge watching it over the last month and a half.
Yep.
So I'm gonna try to get through that. Just because I remember how it ends because I was actually in Las Vegas on a business trip, and when the series finale happened, so I watched it at the Star Trek Experience at the Hilton, which was pretty cool. They had a whole big screening thing set up in Quark's bar. So I watched it with a whole bunch of Trek fans, and of course, there were all people there in costume and in character and stuff. So that was pretty cool.
Oh wow.
So yeah, I want to get to the end and see if it was as satisfying as I thought it was back then. It's held up pretty well.
Has it?
I look at some of the CGI is a little bit dated now, you know, but back then we didn't know any better.
Well, yeah, that's it.
We were like, oh, look at that, that's fucking cool.
Well,
So,
I am kind of binge watching Are You Being Served? And
oh,
I,
I
I, I
love it,
mentioned that
love
on
it.
Facebook.
Are you free?
Yeah. Are you free, Mr. Granger? What? Yes. And I'm at the end of season 2, and what I keep forgetting is the the British seasons are much different than American season because the British season is only maybe 7 or 8 episodes at most, so I can go through the entire thing fairly quickly. But I had forgotten exactly how funny the show was. And I started watching it again because my friend David had posted something about it, and there was a YouTube video where it was nothing but Mrs. Slocum's pussy comments, and and it just made me realize, wow, I haven't seen this show in forever, and most of the episodes are on YouTube now.
Really?
Yes, yes.
I have
So
one season on DVD, I think season 3. That's all I ever was able to find, and it's not complete.
yeah, well, I don't think it's all complete on YouTube, but it's certainly, there's a lot there. So you can certainly check it out on YouTube and the full episodes. And it just amazes me how much they got away with in the early to mid
Oh,
70s.
yeah.
It's just, it's so, and it's not even like just the pussy comments. When Mrs. Holcomb was talking about her cat, there's just a lot of other double and triple entendres, and
Oh,
well,
yeah.
of course, Mr. Humphreys is just John Inman was just perfection as Mr. Humphreys.
Oh, they all were so good, and Molly Sugden as Mrs. Slocum
Yes.
was awesome. I mean, they all were so good, and I had such a crush on Mr. Rumbold's secretary in the last 2 seasons. Oh my God! Like, what was Mrs. Belfridge was her character.
Yeah.
Miss Belfridge was her character, played by Candy Davis. And I am pretty sure I touched myself a lot to that character. Oh my God! You know what? I'm looking at a picture of her right now.
And touching yourself right
I'm
now.
gonna need a moment.
All right, we'll
Funny.
we'll give you that moment. Do, do,
That's all.
do, 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 do.
They don't call me the Minuteman for nothing.
And I decided I'd start watching it aside from not having seen it for a while because I really needed something to pick me up. With all the news that's going on in the world and so much of the animosity that I see on Facebook and Twitter and in comment sections on other websites, and just my own life experiences added into all that, you just kind of start to feel worn down by it all,
Yeah.
and you just really kind of want to lose yourself and laugh, because sometimes I think we really forgotten how to really laugh and how to have fun.
Yeah, I mean, I think you know what we should get. Maybe we can get Wade on one day, and we could do a show just about Britcoms.
Oh yeah, definitely. That would be a lot of
Faulty
fun.
Towers, keeping up appearances. Are you being served? Because I love all of them. I love all of them. All the British shows. Mr. Bean. I love Mr. Bean. Um, love them all.
That's actually a really good idea. And he and I were kind of talking about having him come back on at some point. So yeah, that'd be perfect. Perfect.
Yeah. Oh, see,
And
now I'm gonna start watching again. You got me. I'll be up all
well,
freaking night tonight.
and you should because the the writing is so well done, and it's that and it's so different from American humor.
Oh yeah,
And that that British sarcasm and satire is something that Americans will just never get. And it's a lot of fun because you really do like all of these characters.
yeah, they're great. I mean, you're right. It's very wry and it can be dry and much more subtle. I just remember like when cable TV first came out, it was really difficult to get certain things. But then eventually, I figured out how to watch reruns of Monty Python's Flying Circus,
Yeah,
and I would be rolling on the floor laughing, and my father would be like, "You're an idiot. This isn't funny.
yeah,
What? Why is this funny?" And I'm like, "Dad, you either get it or you don't."
yeah, exactly.
It's with the British humor. That's it. You either get it or you don't. There's no middle ground.
Yeah, I used to watch Monty Python and the Holy Grail when it would be on HBO all the time when we first got it, because that was just one of those movies that they had on a lot. And my parents just never got it. They didn't understand the humor. Now, my mother understands and appreciates the humor more now than she did then. Uh, but my dad never got it. He was just too American, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
no,
that's
but you're right. You make a good point. It is just very, very different.
and Faulty Towers is my other favorite, and one that Wade turned me on to is Porridge, uh, which is a prison show, which is hysterical, and it's something that he and I did one of our podcasts about when we were doing the jailbait show. I think it was like our third or fourth episode. We talked about Porridge, and that's a very funny show. Very funny.
I've only ever caught a few episodes of it.
Absolutely loved it. It had Ronnie Barker in it, a legendary English comic. So check that one out too. I believe there's episodes on YouTube of that as well. YouTube is really getting a lot of stuff that I'm surprised that I'm seeing there. Like
It,
all
it,
the
yeah,
Are You Being Served and uh, the Pard stuff and some Faulty Tower stuff. I mean, and I'm glad to see it because I really hope other people discover it and get as much from it as I do. Because, good Lord, we need something to laugh about these days, don't we?
we do. And I am so well, I hate it. I have a love-hate relationship with the internet, you know.
Yeah,
But on the plus side, it it's gonna sound corny and cliche, but it really is a modern miracle. Like just the stuff we have at our fingertips. Like we talk about, like my kid, she doesn't know what it's like to have to wait to once a year to see The Wizard of Oz on TV.
yeah,
You know, instant. Like, hey, I want to watch The Wizard of Oz. All right, here you go. I have a DVD, or we could stream it, or you could watch it on your phone. Like, there's like 100 ways you can check it out. Or old stuff like that you never thought you'd see again, like Are You Being Served,
hmm
and stuff like that. Old shows, I know that, and they're finding stuff in vaults all the time, you know.
yeah. And even some of the off channels are now streaming stuff. Like CBS is streaming some of their old shows, like I Love Lucy and Mannix and uh, oh, what was that show with Patrick Duffy?
Man from Atlantis.
Man from Atlantis, stuff like that. And BBC is doing it, and DirecTV is now doing it. You don't even need to have a satellite for DirecTV now. You can just pay $35 a month for like 60 channels and watch it on your phone or stream it to your TV. Fucking incredible.
I mean, isn't it great? I mean, I think that's just amazing. I mean, I really think it's amazing, especially for people like, older people that, can't, maybe they can't, can't get out or can't have access to certain things. Like they can literally see things that gave them joy like years ago.
Yeah.
Like my grandmother has since, is long since passed away. But I can only imagine today if she was able to watch all the shows that she loved, like Love Boat and Fantasy Island,
Oh, yeah.
and all that stuff. She never would have dreamt. Like I told you, I've met and sort of become friends with Tony Orlando. Her head would explode. You
Yeah.
know, the fact that I could give her a DVD and see her, like, you can watch all the Tony Orlando episodes all the time. You know.
Yeah, it's amazing. And if you had told me as a kid that we were going to be able to do all this, I'd be thinking, that's some Star Trek shit right there,
Yeah.
you know? And I don't know if I would have believed anybody if they had told me that. I still want my flying fucking cars, though. And I used to want a hoverboard, but not anymore because I would probably break a hip on it now. And I probably won't have the insurance to cover a broken hip when it happens. So, the hoverboard isn't a priority for me anymore.
Yeah. I got my daughter one for Christmas, and I see her zipping around on that thing, and I'm like, wow, it's great to be young and have no concept of your own mortality.
Exactly. Well, speaking of mortality, next week we're going to be having, hopefully, if everything works out, Detective D is going to be on.
Awesome.
Now, and the reason he's going to be on, and I really need to apologize to him about this, is he messaged me the other day, and he said, you've never had me on the show. And I thought about that, and I actually had to go back through some of the earlier episodes because I could have sworn he'd been on it. And no, everybody else has been on our show except for him. Then I felt really bad about that. So he's going to be on, and one of the things we're going to be talking about is our favorite horror movies that aren't part of a franchise.
Okay, cool.
And I think that's a pretty cool topic.
Yeah, it is. Oh, I off the top of my head, I could rattle off 3. So,
Oh,
yeah, I'm
yeah.
looking forward to it.
Yeah, and I'm sure one of them is going to be King Kong.
King Kong.
Wait. Oh, that's Jerry. That's the King Kong fanatic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and that's part of a franchise, technically, isn't it?
Matty Joe Young, is that
Didn't they
kind of...
make? No, wasn't there King Kong, Son of Kong? King Kong does the Care Bears.
Oh,
Um,
you're right about
yeah,
that. You're
yeah.
you're right. All right, I forgot about the King Kong does the Care Bears.
Or was that Rainbow Bright does the Care Bears? I can't remember.
That may have been a triple mix-up.
Yes.
Now that's hard to find. I think that was only available in Germany for about 3 months before it got banned.
Yeah.
So, anyway, that's something to look forward to.
Yeah, it'll be a good show next week.
Yeah, better than shows we. No, I don't want to say that. That's not true. We do good shows all the time, and hopefully we plan to have your friend on as
Yes.
soon as we can.
We're going to make that happen.
I don't know whether just the thought of her talking to us makes her sick, or she's heard the show, or what. But she was a little bit under the weather today, so we weren't able to have her on again.
Yeah, I'm going to go with I listened to a few of the past episodes. Theory.
Well, and hopefully in a couple of weeks we'll be able to have her on
Yeah, we
because
will.
I saw the short that she was in, and I really enjoyed that. So I look forward to, and I can't remember her name because it's a difficult name, or the
It's
last name
there's a
is
lot of
difficult.
it's a lot of letters, but yeah, it's her first name's Danielle, so we'll just leave it at that.
Yes, Danielle. All right. Danielle, no last name because you won't be able to pronounce it anyway. So,
Hey, listen, it's not nearly as bad as mine. No one can ever pronounce mine. So,
that's true. I'm sure you get a lot of different pronunciations for that.
oh yeah, some of them are very creative. Although I'm not sure how a last name that starts with S could ever be pronounced as jackass, but that does to to
Yeah,
happen.
yeah, and especially from your parents, you would think they would know how to pronounce it.
Nice one. I strolled right into that minefield.
Yes, yes, you did. And on that note, if you enjoyed the Imaginarium, check out the other shows we have at the supernats.com, including my other show with Jerry Janda, Weekday Matinee. And Weekday Matinee took our place last week, and we talked about our favorite indie movies. And if you haven't had a chance to listen to that, check it out. That was a lot of fun. It was good to get Jerry back into the podcasting seat. And there's nothing wrong with having Jack fill in for him, but there's just, Jerry's like comfort food. There's just a level of comfort I find around him. So it's always good when I get to podcast with him.
Yep, comfort food. Hmm.
Yeah, maybe that's probably not a particularly good choice of words.
Probably not.
Oh, well, and on that note, as I said, check out the other shows that we have. And until next time, may all of your journeys be filled with pure imagination.